Hi students, today I have come with a part 2 video of the chapter we were discussing, that is synthetic fibers and plastics. In the last video, we have discussed about fibers, the types of fibers, then synthetic fibers and also the various types of synthetic fibers in detail. And today what we are going to discuss are the characteristics of synthetic fibers and also the topic plastics. So let's move on. Characteristics of synthetic fibers. Under this topic, we are going to discuss both the advantages and disadvantages of synthetic fibers. Let's look at the advantages of synthetic fibers first. The first advantage is that synthetic fabrics or synthetic cloths, they dry up more quickly than that of cotton cloths. That is the first advantage. The second advantage is that they are more durable materials. The materials which are manufactured using synthetic fibers can be used for a longer time period. That is the second advantage. The third advantage is that they are cheap or less expensive. For example, you might have observed that the polyester cloths, it's a kind of synthetic fabric, right? They are available at low prices than that of cotton cloths. So that is the third point. They are cheap or less expensive. The fourth point is that they are readily available materials. And the fifth point is that they are easy to maintain. So these are the advantages of synthetic fibers. Now let's look at the disadvantages of synthetic fibers. The first point is that they does not easily get soaked in water or they does not easily absorb water. Okay, that is the first disadvantage. And the second disadvantage is that synthetic cloths are not suitable to wear during summer season. The reason is that during summer season, you will sweat more. If you are wearing synthetic cloths, they do not have the property to absorb the sweat from your body like that of cotton cloths. That's why it's preferred to wear cotton cloths during summer season. So that was the second disadvantage. And the third point is that they easily catches fire. That's why it's not preferred to wear synthetic cloths while you are working in flammable conditions. Okay, so we have discussed both the advantages and disadvantages of synthetic fibers. And now we are moving on to our next topic, that is plastics. I don't think that you need an introduction on the term plastics because you see plastics every day, you use plastics every day and you know what plastics are. So let's look at the term plastics in the sense of chemistry. Plastic is a polymer like synthetic fiber. You know what polymers are, right? Polymers are long chain of molecules formed by the linkage of small molecular units known as monomers. So plastics are also polymers. Some plastics are linear polymers while some plastics are cross-linked polymers. I will make these two terms more clearer to you. Have a look at this picture. Here we can see a linear polymer. From the picture itself, it's clear that in a linear polymer, the monomers are arranged in linear fashion. There is no side branches of monomers. Only the monomers are arranged in a linear fashion. Such kind of polymers are known as linear polymers. Then what will be cross-linked polymers? Yes. In cross-linked polymers, the monomer units are not only arranged in linear fashion, there will be monomer units interconnected. So, one monomer will be connected to many other monomer units in a three-dimensional manner. Such kind of polymers are known as cross-linked polymers. Hope you have understood these terms, linear polymers and cross-linked polymers. And based on that, plastics are of two types. One is thermoplastics and the other is thermosetting plastics. What are thermoplastics? Those plastics which deforms easily on heating or that can be molded into desired shapes many times by the application of heat are known as thermoplastics. We can reshape or deform these kind of plastics many times by the application of heat. Such kind of plastics are known as thermoplastics. And thermoplastics are long chain linear polymers. So thermoplastics are linear polymers. And the third point is that they are soft. And also they are expensive. So these are the properties of thermoplastics. Now let's look at thermosetting plastics. The first point is that once molded, thermosetting plastics, once they are molded, they cannot get softened or deformed on heating. So they cannot be repeatedly softened or deformed into desired shapes. Once they are molded, they are molded. We cannot make any change on such kind of plastics. Okay, then they are three-dimensional cross-linked polymers. So thermosetting plastics are cross-linked polymers which are three-dimensional. And they are hard and strong. Also, they are cheap or less expensive. So these are the properties of thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. Now let's look at the examples and applications of these two kinds of plastics. First, thermoplastics. The examples are polythene, PVC, etc. Applications. These thermoplastics are used in the manufacturing of toys, combs, bottles, containers, etc. Now, thermosetting plastics. The examples are bakelite, melamine, etc. And the applications. Bakelites are used in the manufacturing of switches, handles of cooking pans, etc. While melamine are used for the manufacturing of floor tiles, kitchenwares, and fabrics which resist fire, etc. So we have discussed the properties, examples and applications of the two types of plastics, that is thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. Now let's move on to the advantages of plastics. The first advantage is that plastic materials are generally non-reactive in nature and they can be used for food storage. You might have observed that most of the food packages are packaged in plastic containers, right? That is due to that the plastics are generally non-reactive in nature. And the second point is that they are lightweight. They have very low weight and they are easy to carry. And another point is that they are cheaper than metals. Plastic materials are available at low prices than that of metals. And another point is that they are available at various shapes, size and colors. You can see plastic materials in different shapes, sizes and colors at markets, right? And another point is that plastic materials have good strength and they are easily handling materials. That is another kind of advantage of plastics. And one of the main advantage of plastic is that they are poor conductors of heat and electricity. Usually the plastic materials do not conduct heat or electricity. That is another advantage of plastics. And the last point is that they are durable. These plastic materials do not generally degrade or corrode like that of other materials. So they can be used for a longer time period. That is the last point. They are durable materials. So these are the advantages of plastics. Now let's look at the disadvantages of plastics. The first point is that plastics are non-biodegradable. Non-biodegradable means they do not decay or degrade by the action of bacteria. So such kind of materials are known as non-biodegradable materials, and plastics are a non-biodegradable material. And that makes it difficult to dispose these kind of materials. So we have difficulty to dispose plastic materials. That is a major problem caused by plastics. Okay. And the second point is environment pollution. Since they are non-biodegradable materials, they causes environment pollution. Both air pollution once they are burnt, then if it's thrown into soil, it causes soil pollution. If the plastic materials are thrown into water bodies, that causes water pollution. So plastic materials causes environment pollution. Then the third point is that they causes danger to wildlife. From this picture given, you can understand what is the danger caused by these plastics to the wildlife. Okay. Another point is that if we try to burn these plastic materials, it produces toxic gases and that causes harms to our health. So that is the another disadvantage of plastics. Okay. And the last point is that it inhibits plant growth if carelessly thrown into soil. An area which is dumped with plastics, it's not suitable for a plant to grow. Plants cannot grow there. So it inhibits the plant growth also. So these are the disadvantages of plastics. So what can we do to overcome these problems caused by plastics? Here comes the importance of 5R principles. If we are following the 5R principle, we can overcome the disadvantages caused by the plastics to an extent. So let's have a look at the 5R principles. The first point is to reduce the use of plastics. Use minimum amount of plastics. That is the first point. The second point is to reuse plastics. Use the plastic materials you have. Maximize the use of plastic materials. That is the second point, reuse. Then recycle plastic materials. Don't use and throw. Try to recycle the plastic materials. That is the third point. Then the fourth point is to recover the plastic materials. And the fifth point, that is the most important point, to refuse the use of plastics. That is to say no to plastics. That is the better thing that we can do. Okay, so if you are following these 5R principles, we can overcome the problems caused by the plastics to some extent. Okay, so with this topic, we have covered the entire chapter, synthetic fibers and plastics. Hope you have understood the concepts. If you have any doubts, please feel free to ask your doubts in the comment box. Thank you.